morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Unlock Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. You can see I've got a little bit of what am I going to call you today? A little co-host with me today. This is Mr. Carter. Say hello. Hi, everybody. Oh, you might get that. We're in one of those moods where we're having some whinging time. Let's just put it that way. All you mums out there and grandmas out there, you will totally get what I'm talking about. So let's see what actually happens today. I had I thought this morning, so this is my little grandson. He's just a little over 2 years old, full of energy and life. He's going to go, he's just not wanting to play right now. 5 minutes ago, full of life, wanting to have a chat with everybody. So we'll see what we get throughout today's show. So this morning I thought, I've got him today. What am I going to do? Should I go live on a show? Should I just record a show and actually put it out there? And I thought, what the heck? Do you know what? This is life, right? So the Unlock Show is all about how do you combine and how do you actually combine, your business, your family, and your life? Because as I've said previously, in my opinion, when you kind of go into you're in the corporate world, there's very much this thought of you need to separate the two and you must leave your baggage at the door. And when I think back to my corporate life and that being the case, they were referring to the baggage being all of my family, all of the, the challenges that you have, the things that go on during the day. You were supposed to just put on a brave front, check into work and leave all of that baggage at the door. Well, in entrepreneurial life, it doesn't always work that way. So one of the major benefits that I have found through being, an entrepreneur for the last 9 odd years, nearly 10 years, is that I get to call the shots. I get to work when I want to work. And I really wanted to do that so that I didn't miss out on the little ones like this. I didn't miss out on my kids and my grandchildren. And I remember back to being, in the corporate life, I had to really make a lot of sacrifices, as we do as parents. When you're going to work, you're having to put your children into daycare and all those sorts of places. And so you miss out on a lot of things. Whereas being as being an entrepreneur, you don't necessarily have those restraints. So you can blend family, your business, and life in general together. But it doesn't always come that easy, right? So sometimes, when things are upon you, whether you're a mum at home, and often we're held back because we think, gosh, how could I possibly do a live show when I've got little ones like this running around my feet, doing all these sorts of things, just knocking stuff over, wanting to grab the things under the table, all that sort of stuff. How could I possibly do that? Well, I want to share with you, I wanted to do this live so that you guys can actually see this is life. This is the way that, things are for a lot of people. Whether you're a mum, like I said, or a dad or a nana, like I am, I often have my grandchildren, particularly on a Friday. And this particular week, I wouldn't normally have them when it's showtime, but this week, their mum and dad are moving house at the moment. So, of course, they needed a bit of a reprieve from the children, because as soon as they were packing the boxes, the kids are right there, and you guys might be able to relate to this. This little one's right there unpacking the box as fast as they can pack it. So they said, Mum, can you please do me a favour and just have the kids for the night so that we can get some work done, and we'll go and give them a hand a little bit later. So I said, of course, and you just manage, you just work your way around how to make all of this stuff happen like so. So I've written down a few notes actually today about how can you do a live show? How could you possibly even contemplate doing something like that when you've got young children and kids kind of running around at your feet? Well, the first thing I'm going to say, and I will tell you this, that it has come with, with time and with maturity and age. And if these were my kids, I probably wouldn't be as relaxed as I am now when they're your grandchildren. But the first thing would be just absolutely relax, just chill out, take things as they come, go with the flow, and take everything in your stride. So that would be the first thing. Kids do the darndest things. They do crazy stuff. They might want to snuggle up and go to sleep like this little one is at the moment. But often, I just would never know what he might do. He might come out with something else crazy, as young children do. So just cut yourself some slack and just relax and just go with the flow. The next thing that I would say is that, like I said, I had two choices. I could have I had three. I could have canned today's show and said, hey, I'm not going to do it. It's just going to be too hard. How can that possibly, how can I look professional and actually show up and do something with kids? And I can tell you that I've thought that in the past. I would have thought there is no way in heck that I would have shown up to do a show with kids around. But that's life. That is the reality of the way things are. And if you have young ones, well, just incorporate them into what you do. So I've written that down. Just incorporate them into what it is that you are doing. So if you have a message and you have something that you want to share, then, and it might be about, as I do, it's about business, it's about family, it's about life. I just bring them into the concept, just bring them into the show, allow them to be part of the process. And in doing so, I can tell you that my granddaughter, if you go back and watch some of the early shows, I've had her on a couple of them. And as a result of that, she's 8 years old. She's become a lot more confident in actually speaking and being in front of a camera. And that has translated into her being able to stand up in front of her class, give a speech. She's been recently nominated for school council, one of the youngest in her school. So there's all sorts of things that you can do. And when you incorporate this sort of stuff into your kid's life, it enables them to not be afraid of it, not be afraid of actually standing up and speaking and, speaking to a crowd of people. The next is, I've written down, just keep it real. That is life. Things happen. We just want to make sure that, I think, like a lot of people have asked me, Trace, why do you do live video as opposed to recorded? And the truth of the matter is, when I started trying to do all of this stuff and I would record it, it would take me forever because I would be a perfectionist. I would go back, I would rewatch it over and over and over again, and I'd be like, it's not good enough. I fumble my words. I'm not doing the right things, blah, 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 all of the nonsense stuff that we start to tell ourselves. And so therefore that ended up being a real barrier and friction for me in being able to get any kind of material out, because you'd constantly be having this sort of situation. You wouldn't be able to sit here and record, etc., etc. So being able to do things live, you just keep it real. Just, it is what it is. Other families are out there, other parents, other mums, grandmothers are out there doing the same sort of stuff. And I want you guys to be able to see, don't be frightened of it. Just incorporate it all into what it is that you are doing. And don't take yourself too seriously. And like I've said too, in some of my other podcasts and also shows, there's been a time where I've been, a lot of people say, you're really serious. And I have taken myself very, very seriously in the past, and I still do to a degree. But, nowadays it's like, whatever, stuff happens. You just carry on and go with the flow. So those are some of the things that I would say. Just don't take yourself too seriously. Speak your truth, just front up and just be very real. And then when you're able to do that, other people can actually see that, hey, it's okay. I've got kids screaming in the background. If I showed you my house right now, this little area here looks okay. But if I look down there, there are toys strewn from one side of the house to the other. So what? It's only a few toys, and I'll just pack them up a little bit later. So, and this little fella gets to, create a long-lasting, piece of material that he and I are actually doing together. Not that he's doing very much, mind you, so which is pretty good. I'm not going to complain about that. Okay, now the other thing I wanted to talk about today is actually family. Now, for those of you who have been following me for a while, you'll know that I talk a lot about my family. And a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that we were praying that we would be able to go on a family reunion that we'd been planning for about 6 months. And last week? Gosh, the days all just run into one another. But last week, Queensland, which is where I live in Australia, went into lockdown. So, or parts of Queensland, I should say. So it was very touch and go as to whether or not whether our family could actually get together on, he's not quite out cold. He's awake now. So we weren't really sure whether or not we would be able to go on our camping trip. Anyhow, we just carried on. Everybody just continued to plan as if we were going. And we actually got to the camping ground, and it wasn't until we arrived there at 7 a.m. in the morning, and it wasn't until 9 a.m. that we actually found out whether or not we could continue to have our camping trip. So thankfully, at that time, Queensland actually decided that they would lift all of the restrictions. We still had masks and a few other minor restrictions, but as far as being able to have a family gathering, we were able to do it. And I wanted to let you guys know kind of some of the things that we're doing to keep our family connected and strong. So, as you know, I am originally from New Zealand, and my grandparents, so Tatiana and we call him Bubby Brown, they had 11 children. And of those 11 children, my mum was one of those. And so this gathering was of my grandparents and my mum's side of the family. And so anyway, we put the word out on Facebook and just said, "Hey, it is your name, yes." So we were wanting to have a catch up, and so anyway, we put the word out on our Facebook family group, and we had pretty much everybody from the Gold Coast and Queensland actually go to our family reunion. And we were just counting up the numbers, and we had 74 people actually go from our family to our family camping. There's a few things that I wanted to really share with this, and why I feel that this is extremely important, and some of the things that I've seen as a result of us doing this sort of stuff. The how do I put this? The changes and the ability to be able to continue your family traditions, keeping your family ties together through the generations. So if I give you I'm going to give you some numbers here to put this into a bit of perspective. But like I said, my grandparents, they had 11 children. So of those 11 children, there were four of the, we call them, we affectionately refer to them as the dinosaurs. So our the next generation up, my grandparents, we call them the fossils. Then we've got the dinosaurs. So of the generation that we affectionately call the dinosaurs, which is my mum's generation, there were four of them, and then they also had their partners there. There were 25 grandchildren, 40 great grandchildren, and 4 great grandchildren. So over that weekend, we had, was that 4, I think it might have been even 5 generations all in the one place. And I want to share this because, like I said, it really does help to keep your family connected. So what I have realized happens over a period of time, particularly with global migration being as strong as it is now, and our previous ability to be able to move countries. So there are a lot of New Zealanders who have now made Australia their home. And when that happens, culturally, you start to the family starts to disseminate all over the world. But what also happens with that, you can also start to dilute your actual culture and the ties and the roots that you have back to your homeland, which in our case is New Zealand. So to try and keep all of that intact, you need to make sure that you keep your family connected in some way. So here's the way in which we do it, and like I said, there's been some amazing outcomes from this. Like when you think about those numbers and how we managed to get all of those people there, and this generation, who was one of the great grandchildren, he now knows all of the other great grandchildren and his aunties and uncles and so on and so forth, who are actually in my generation and are my cousins. So keeping your family really tight and strong, because as the generations, I'm going to say, pass on, that then can really start to fragment your family. And if you are like us and you're a family that has very strong cultural background and you want to maintain, you want to keep that intact, you need to figure out a way of being able to continue to tell the stories and also ensure that you're able to keep the connection with all of your family members there. So having a regular catch up, or even a Facebook, a Facebook page where you can share all sorts of things, family related, is a great way of being able to do that. During our family get together, my brother-in-law stood up and actually did a speech. So he often will speak in our native tongue, which is New Zealand Māori. So he will do some speaking in that language. And he was talking about how the children of now, they they have all sorts of things at their fingertips: iPads, iPhones, games, toys, you name it. Most kids have got a lot of stuff. And the reality is that you remember, even if you think back now to when you were a child and some of the fondest memories that you have ever had, what were they? Were they of the fancy toy that you had, or were they of the times where you were spending, time together with family members, with friends, with, your grandparents, all those sorts of things. So being able to continue to create those, you start to create long lasting memories. And I thought he said that really, really beautifully, because I can remember a lot of my cousins were all saying, this is so awesome that we're doing this camping trip, because we'd never done it before, but we did it a lot when we were young kids. So when I was this age, or a little bit older, we would often go to the river and camp with all of our with our family members, and we would all get together. And they are some of the best memories that I have as a young child. So now we see it as, my generation. It's part of our job and our legacy to continue to build those and create those opportunities for these little ones to also create memories and experiences like we used to have, because they're few and oh, here we go. They're few and far between, these days. So anyway, I wanted to share that because we had an absolutely fantastic time. I'll post up even on my Facebook, on my personal Facebook page, some of the photographs to give you a bit of more of a sense of kind of the magnitude of what we did, and how we put together all of the food. We all ate together on one particular night and just made some, like I said, some fantastic memories in getting all of our family together. So I'm seeing a bunch of comments come through, and thanks everyone. He's actually been a very good boy, isn't he? We haven't had too many. Yeah. So Amber's saying that's a lovely memory, and yes, building memories using those opportunities. It is so, so important. And it is particularly important if you are of a family who has migrated to another country. I cannot stress this enough. I've done some research on this, and particularly here in Australia, if you've migrated from another country to, I mean, I can only speak because I'm in Australia, but I speak to being here, and particularly for boys, if they don't feel that sense of connection back to their culture, it can be detrimental to them. So it's really important that you continue to maintain that you give them every opportunity they can to be connected to their culture and connected with the rest of their family members, because we as humans, we are, we like to be surrounded by other people. And, that really does help, particularly in times where we're going through a global pandemic, when you have family that you can maintain a connection with, even if it's just through a Zoom call or a Facebook messaging system that you set up for your family, it can go a long, long way. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I was going kind of off topic because I normally talk a lot about, growing confidence and how to set up your own show and marketing and all that sort of stuff. But the message today is just don't let your family circumstances hold you back from anything. Go and utilize those to your advantage. Use these opportunities to share what life is really like, because people want to see that. They don't just want to see everything prim and proper and perfect all of the time, because that's not how life is. That's not the reality of what we experience every day. And incorporate your children into what it is that you're doing, and continue to do the things that make you happy. And for me, it's I'm huge on family. I love my family dearly, and any opportunity I can get where I can incorporate my family into something, I absolutely will. So yeah, if you continue to watch the Unlocked show, you might see my grandchildren sort of pop up from time to time when they're here with me. And I think this little fella's going to go to sleep very, very shortly. And you'll see my granddaughter, but you'll also see me with a lot of my other family. So anyway, that's it from me for today. I'm going to be back again next Wednesday with another guest on the Unlocked show. We'll be talking all things marketing, show related, confidence related, etc. But like I always say to you guys, go and live your life unlocked. There is just no point in trying to live your life based on other people's sets of expectations. Create your own, go and unlock whatever is within you, and just start creating the life that you really, really want for yourself, whatever that may look like. So that being said, I think this little fella, we might get a goodbye. Do you want to say bye to everybody? Say bye, everyone. Say thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. All right, guys, thanks very much for tuning in today. Like I said, I'll be back again next week, 10 a.m. Brisbane, Australia time, and I'll see you guys then. Have a fantastic week. Bye for now.